just after Kings Island opened their new Action Zone area in 1999 featuring Face Off and Drop Zone, the park went on to announce the tallest, fastest, and only looping wooden roller coaster, Son of Beast. Most of you probably did not have the luxury of riding this once famed coaster, but I was a lucky one because I've ridden it over 100 times before, including when Son of Beast first opened. So that begs the question, was a 218-foot tall Son of Beast as bad as everyone said it was? And why was it torn down rather than converted into an RMC hybrid at the time? Welcome to Theme Park Predictions. My name is Brandon, and Kings Island was my home park for over 20 years, so I have a lot of good stories and thoughts regarding Son of Beast. Now before I go on about what I didn't like about Son of Beast, I wanted to share with you what I liked about it. Okay, now that you've heard what I liked about Son of Beast, let's drop into what I didn't like. Just kidding. The presence of this wooden coaster was so very impressive. Whether you're standing along International Street or walking down Coney, you could see Son of Beast from pretty much anywhere in the park. My favorite views of the coaster were actually from riding the Adventure Express, because you'd be able to get the best views of the first drop and vertical loop while enjoying a better coaster. Son of Beast was Kings Island's hypercoaster at the time, and this was a huge deal. It's still amazing to this day that Millennium Force, the world's first full-circuit Giga Coaster, and Son of Beast, the world's first wooden hypercoaster, opened in Ohio during the same year. And you can't forget about Six Flags Ohio making its debut with 4 new coasters during that same year. And let me tell you, Ohio was a great place to live during the year 2000 because of all these new coasters. Son of Beast was massive. We're talking over 7,032 feet of track, making Kings Island home to 2 wooden coasters over 7,000 feet in length. And that's just crazy to even think about. The funny thing is, I actually really enjoyed Son of Beast after my first time riding it a few weeks after the coaster officially opened to the public. I remember waiting in a 3-hour-long line to ride it, and this was just after waiting 3 hours in line to ride Millennium Force at Cedar Point a few weeks prior. Both coasters at the time I thought were fantastic additions, and obviously we know how the future turned out for that big pile of firewood, Son of Beast. Something about the world's only looping wooden coaster at the time that I thought was unique was the pre-lift segment of the layout, before the train reached the lift hill. And at the time, a lot of coasters didn't really offer this, so it was a nice change from the norm. But what I found out to be so odd was the placement for the on-ride photo for Son of Beast, as it was located right before the train made it to the lift hill, instead of the first drop or right before the loop or somewhere else during the ride's layout. Does anyone know why this was? If so, I would love to hear it. The vertical loop, which stood at a height of 118 feet, was the smoothest part of the coaster, and the sheer size of this inversion was very impressive. But that was really all that I liked about Son of Beast, which thinking back on, is one of my top 10 roughest coasters that I've ever ridden before. Now let's talk about what made this mountain of a pain one of the worst coasters built since the year 2000, the roughness. Son of Beast was so jerky and rough that guests actually refused to ride it. My back actually still hurts thinking about the 78-mile-an-hour ride. And here's the thing that I want to know. What was Paramount and Kings Island thinking when they were building this coaster? I mean, they could have added an Intamin or B&M Hyper at the time, but no, they wanted to try to break risky records. From my knowledge, when the park approached the major wooden coaster manufacturers about the concept to see if they'd be comfortable building their trains for Son of Beast, they all declined the offer. So that is the reason why Son of Beast featured the Premier trains, which are actually the same trains that Flight of Fear and Backlot Stunt Coaster offers. Steel roller coaster trains that were going to be used for a wooden coaster. Now that is a genius idea. Now, I get the fact that since the coaster featured the whole vertical loop, that no other manufacturers wanted the liability for that. But I know for a fact that these heavier trains were a major reason as to why it was so rough and suffered so much downtime. Now you might be wondering, how problematic was Son of Beast? Well, here's a timeline of events. The Roller Coaster Corporation of America, RCCA, discussed the idea of building the world's first wooden hypercoaster with Kings Island in 1997. Rattler at Fiesta, Texas was the only coaster this company had built at the time of this discussion. And again, sounds like a genius idea. Problems plagued the ride from the beginning as a result, and Paramount Parks, the park's then owner, fired RCCA before construction was even completed. Kings Island even had to make some design corrections during the ride's opening year. Kings Island filed a lawsuit in November of 2000 against 3 companies involved in the design and manufacture of the coaster, claiming defects that delayed the initial opening and resulted in multiple closures. On January 11, 2000, a portion of the ride was damaged due to a strong gust of wind. It was then later revealed that the second hill had collapsed by itself. The wooden structure was being held in place by a temporary ribbon support system and had been constructed only a day earlier. Son of Beast was planned to open on April 14, 2000, but construction was halted due to rainy weather. As a result, the opening had to be delayed, and Son of Beast officially opened to the public on April 28, 2000. The attraction only operated for a brief period of time before closing for repair work on a small section of track. It then reopened about a month later on May 26, 2000. Son of Beast originally operated with 3 trains designed by Premier Rides, and each one consisted of 6 cars for a total capacity of 36 riders per train. The trains were then shortened to 5 cars before the 2006 season. After the ride's first major incident, the trains were replaced altogether with lighter Gerstlauer models before the ride reopened the following season. The vertical loop was also removed before the 2007 season. Another major incident occurred in 2009, and it was announced that Son of Beast would be closed indefinitely. References to Son of Beast were removed from the park's website and map in early 2010. All signage, including the box at the entrance, was also removed. On March 15, 2010, the park stated that they had spent nearly $30 million on the ride to date and that it would not reopen for the 2010 season. Another Kings Island spokesperson, Don Helbig, announced that the ride would again be closed for the 2011 season and that the ride's future has not yet been decided. Kings Island announced on April 24, 2012 that there were no plans to operate Son of Beast that season, and they are still evaluating options. Then on July 27, 2012, following a thorough evaluation of the roller coaster, Kings Island announced that Son of Beast would be removed from the park to make way for future expansion. Demolition on Son of Beast began in September of 2012. A tombstone with a plaque honoring Son of Beast was placed in the mock-up graveyard in the queue line for the park's Banshee B&M inverted roller coaster. So as you can see, Son of Beast had a ton of issues, and honestly was a pretty bad roller coaster overall. Now a few more things that I didn't like about Son of Beast. Not really ride related, but the entrance and queue placement I thought was kinda odd, that the queue line used up most of the wide section of the exit path for the Bat that was then Top Gun when Son of Beast first opened. The bottom of the enormous helix, and all I can say is, ouch. While this element was fun and impressive, I remember it being one of the roughest parts of the coaster. The what seemed to be a mile-long mid-course brake run. That thing went on forever it seemed. The second helix, while not as painful as the first one, it still wasn't that enjoyable. And I also remember not liking how the train would slam into the final brake run. And to sum it up, pretty much everything about Son of Beast wasn't comfortable. But the thing that I hate the most about Son of Beast, and in my opinion, the biggest head scratcher of them all, how do you create a coaster after the world's longest wooden coaster that's known for its tunnels and not offer any on Son of Beast? The Beastie, now Woodstock Express, even had a tunnel. That's like making a movie called Home Alone 3 without Macaulay Culkin. Yeah, look how good that turned out. Kings Island missed a major opportunity when they chose not to have any tunnels on Son of Beast. But what I've spent a ton of hours thinking about is what made Kings Island decide to remove the coaster instead of converting it into a hybrid. Well, as we know, the first RMC hybrid coaster was a new Texas Giant, which opened in 2011. The B&M inverted Banshee opened at Kings Island in 2014. So judging by that timetable, it appears that Kings Island was most likely already in development of Banshee during the time RMC was opening their first ever hybrid. And on top of that, Cedar Fair has always been a very conservative company, usually when it comes to adding new technology or first to their parks. But I do think that RMC and Cedar Fair had discussions about the conversion at some point. Just imagine if Son of Beast, and not the Texas Giant, was the first coaster to get converted into an RMC hybrid. How do you think that would have changed Kings Island as we know it today? Be sure to let me know in the comments. If any of you play No Limits and have or want to create a Son of Beast hybrid layout, be sure to send me the link in the comments so we can all check it out. Have you ridden Son of Beast before? If so, I would love to hear your take on the world's tallest, fastest, and at the time, the only looping wooden roller coaster. Did you like it? Did you not like it? Let me know. And as always, thank you so much for watching, and remember to smile, stay positive, and keep riding coasters.